Welcome everybody. We are continuing with episode 8 of Masks of Nyarlathotep, the New York chapter. So, we are all here except for Doc, who has been ambushed once again and will not be present. So I would like to now get into the habit here of starting us off by taking a quick look at the calendar so you can see where we currently are as far as the passage of time. So currently it is a Sunday night, and we started on the 15th. That was the date that you were going to meet with Elias Jackson. So that is the day he was found murdered. It is now the 18th, or it's kind of late in the afternoon on the 18th. The library is, when you get to the library, it's about to close. So you really don't have any time there, unfortunately. So you would have to abandon that line of effort. But you can, Benjamin, you can make use of your contacts to try to see if you can find anyone who might have information about Silas N'Kwane. So, I think the easiest way to do that would be to have you attempt a luck roll to see if you can dig up some people. Now, owing that this is your hometown and you are a reporter who has some contacts, I'm going to give you a bonus die on that luck roll. Okay. You got a normal success with that. Just as a reminder, everybody remember how to resolve these. Normal roll is to look at the 0 line, and that'll tell you what happens. Either fail, success, hard, or extreme. With 1 bonus die, you look at the +1. So you got a normal success. Unfortunately, in this case, so you spend a good deal of time in the evening asking around. None of your contacts have ever heard that name. It doesn't mean anything to them. How are you describing this guy?
Oh, let me. So I think Benjamin would be going around trying to just figure out or ask anybody if they know of a. I believe they said he was like a book owner or a bookshop owner, correct?
Okay.
And foreign.
Make an intelligence check for me to see if you remember the detail. Otherwise, you would have to look up your own notes. No, you don't exactly remember. So it's whatever you remember it being.
So yeah, Benjamin is going around looking for an exotic or occult type book shop owner of sorts.
Okay.
He would be a foreign, possibly like probably not South African, but some type of African descent.
Okay. So yeah, you don't. Nobody knows that name. The best that would happen that evening is you I would imagine pop in a couple of occult bookshops that you might be referred to and say, hey, does this name mean anything to you? Neither of the owners of those shops, they look at that name and just shake their head and say, no, they have no idea who that person is. So unfortunately, your evening's work turns out to be kind of a big goose egg. So the question then is whether you're going to go all the way, find a way back to Thaddeus's estate, or whether you just want to go home and crash at your flat until the morning.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go to his flat, his personal flat, and then just crash until morning, and that will give him a chance to also look through any of the notes or anything like that that he had previously from the Peruvian expedition,
Okay.
and he could gather any pictures and everything, or anything, and then bring them over to Thaddeus's mansion.
That makes sense. And when you wake up in the morning, you're just going to take a cab or something over there. It's
Yeah,
It's outside.
probably.
Yeah, it's not close to your flat at all. It's about at least a half an hour away.
Yep, that
So,
works.
okay. So yeah, you get there. So you would arrive at the, we'll say for convenience, you arrive at Thaddeus's estate, and when they recognize who you are let in, um, and and everyone will say has risen for the morning and are ready for the day.
Benjamin, any luck finding the Silas, the South African relic collector?
Um, Unfortunately, I was not able to dig up any information on this man. He was sort of a big wild goose chase, if you understand the meaning.
Seems like that's where everything's leading to.
However, I did stop at my home last night, and I stayed there, and I was going through several of my notes and several of the pictures that I took from Peru, and I have brought some here so that we may be able to do any kind of comparisons between them.
Excellent, excellent.
I know, going over uh, Elias's notes on the back, and she'll flip over Elias's handwritten notes,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll point at basically near the bottom there. He says something about that Carlyle's books are in some sort of safe. Um,
This is
they might
the
even,
second page. Yeah.
yes, they might even be in New York, maybe, or at least someone who's working for him or trying to keep this silence. Maybe they're the same ones who attacked him, but they're in maybe Chinatown. I don't know if we should go and find these people, or if we should see, because Carlyle originally was from New York. Maybe we should see if he still has an estate.
I think that is as good a lead or possibility as any. It may be worthwhile chasing anything down at this.
Hmm.
Thaddeus, you can attempt a credit rating roll. See what you know about the Carlyle estate, since it's definitely in your social. Uh, oh my! Very good, sir. You know quite a lot about it. The Carlyle estate is a very nice mansion, and it currently is resided in by. It was inherited by his sister, Erica Carlyle, who is rather famous in the high finance business world as being one of the few women who inherited a financial empire and has actually improved it, and is doing quite well.
Excellent.
The estate, I forget where it is. Give me a minute. And I will find out where it is. In my many, many pieces of information here. The Westchester is where the estate is. Let's see where that. All right.
No, Westchester.
Westchester County. So yeah, that's quite a lot. It's a large area. I would imagine she is probably along the Hudson River. Probably near far up north. She's gonna not be right close to the city. So from where you live, you're actually not that far away from her estate. You live up in that general area too. Her estate is probably a half-hour drive.
Well, we could go to the Carlyle estate.
Do you think they would let us check or ask questions?
Well, since you got an extreme result, I'd say you actually have you've certainly met Erica a couple of times before at benefits and fundraisers and things like that. You've never had any actual business dealings with her, but your impression is that she's very busy and a little standoffish, a little private.
While it's possible, she's put it in terms. She is a little standoffish.
Maybe you could sway her to meet with us.
I could try. I ran into her a few times.
I believe in you, Thaddeus.
That's good to know. Here, hey Frank.
Mr. Pepin?
Will you get connected with the Carlyles and see if she will meet us for some lunch?
He kind of says, certainly I'll have someone take care of that. You know, Frank would never call to try to do something like that personally. He doesn't handle the social end of anything for you. He'll relay orders to the appropriate people, but he's not exactly good with people, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's fine, because it beats me from having to chase people down.
Sure. Yeah, so he goes and he says, Erica Carlyle, you say?
Yes, Erica Carlyle. It's been a while since I've seen her last.
All right. He excuses himself. All right.
And we shall know soon enough if she'll meet with us.
Good. Benjamin, do you want to go over those photographs that you brought?
Yes, I think that would be a most excellent idea, actually.
Good. Natalia will clear a space on the table, so
Okay.
Benjamin can put them down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Benjamin will begin to splay out several of the pictures.
All the symbols still there.
Yeah. Okay, you display out the pictures, and what are you looking for exactly?
Anything, as we had talked before, anything that pertained to any of the writings or scribblings from Peru, um, and
Um,
anything that may have contained any of the symbols.
Yes.
so you're looking for maybe a match of this thing here, the that symbol on any of the scribblings from Peru. Is that what you're saying? Just so I understand what you're asking.
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
Anything
Okay.
that may even closely resemble it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Fair enough.
And
Go ahead.
maybe there's also writing like there's some writing that's scribbled out on again the back page of Elias's note at the top. I don't know
Um,
what language it is. See if there's anything like that.
Let me. So you mean any of the little pictograph things he drew on the? I'm just trying to
So some of the, no,
understand.
no, not the pictographs. Well, that too, but there's also near the top it says the great deceiver, the power and the danger is real. Who is really
Oh,
evil
okay.
here? See them, yeah, all of them.
If
And
you
then
want
there's
to check
those
his notes
symbols.
from Peru and see if there's anything
Are there
that
notes? Any
seemed to, yes,
photographs?
yes, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it sounds like Benjamin, you're looking for one thing to tell you. You're looking for something else. Then that kind of divides the job up a little bit. Thaddeus, anything for you while they're pouring through this stuff?
He's just glancing at them.
How's it coming, guys? As you sip your tea or whatever. Okay, so um, this I'm going to say is sort of an you can I'll give you a choice. You can use your straight up intelligence or you can use your spot hidden. Depending on whichever one you think is better, you can actually check. Because this is this is sort of a matter of just kind of looking through stuff and trying to find matches of anything and anything unusual. It isn't really strictly a spot hidden.
So it was spot hidden and what
Spot
was the
hidden
other one?
or intelligence. You can use whichever
Int-
one you think is better.
Oh. I feel like straight up intelligence is gonna be better.
Probably, and for most people it
Or
would be.
not.
No. Yeah, neither of you are finding. So Benjamin, you are not finding that symbol anywhere, um, and or anything that looks really quite like it. There wasn't a lot of symbology on any of that stuff anyway. The pictures you took of the of that golden strip is really one of the only things that you have that has any actual symbology on it, and you really don't see anything matching that. But you're not 100% sure that you checked everything either. But after checking for a while, you don't see anything. Natalia, you don't notice any correlation between those notes and the others. In fact, there's kind of a stark contrast. Elias's notes from Peru, when you put them alongside that letter, just the contrast in the mental state between the two is pretty startling. You don't even need to make a psychology roll to tell that. It's just you can see that it's like two different people almost. His notes after Peru, while he's clearly starting to question things because of the nature of what happened under the pyramid, shows that he's he's more open-minded about certain things than he used to be. Um, he still has a very sharp analytical approach to everything, and that's obviously not what you're seeing in the current. In that those notes are they seem like his thoughts are very scattered, uncharacteristically scattered. Um, it's making it hard for you to find any kind of relationship between the two, because you would be looking for observations and rational thought out things, and I'd say it's kind of disturbing to you knowing him the way you did, and that he just the change already in that letter. And in the meantime, Frank does return, and he says that I'm to tell you, Mr. Pepin, that Erica Carlyle has agreed to meet with you tomorrow at her estate at 10 a.m. if that's amenable to you.
Most excellent, Frank. I appreciate it.
He says, I'll pass that along, sir. And
Thank
he
you.
goes.
10 a.m.
Oh, very early. I can't see anything in these notes, unfortunately. The only thing that's obvious is Jackson's mental decline. Kind of in the end. Though I think something must have disturbed him enough to have this happen. And something to do with his Carlisle expedition. And it's obvious someone didn't want us knowing about it, I think. Carlisle's men, the note says, might be in a city. Maybe we should find out from the police about that captured individual that was arrested alive.
Yes.
I don't know if you can have any pull with them. See if we can talk with them.
Well, I could try with the lieutenant first, and if that doesn't come to any avail, I could go higher. Or I should just start at the top and...
Work your way down?
Yes, we could do that. I could call the commissioner.
Okay.
Thaddeus, make a credit rating roll to see how well you know the commissioner. Very
Damn!
Nice. Yes, you've met with him. You've seen him at many functions. You've never really had to use that relationship very much, but you have certainly contributed generously to the Policeman's Fund. So you would imagine he should be quite amenable to any reasonable request you might make. One thing you know about him is that he does have a very principled approach to his public appearance. Anyway, he wants to make it clear that he is not a man who can be bought or influenced by money or wealth, but you know that behind the scenes he is as pressurable as anybody, and he's quite ambitious. So you happen to know that he has designs on one day becoming mayor.
Excellent. Well,
and your relationship with him so far has been quite cordial. He would certainly know exactly who you are from having met with you many times at functions and and that sort of thing.
Excellent. So, Daddy's kind of eagerly stands up and goes over towards his phone in the corner. Gets on it and dials, gets the operator.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to be connected to the commissioner's office.
That can certainly be done. And let's see, we'll say... Okay. And the commissioner's name is, let's see. Peter, let's call him Peter Douglas.
Peter Douglas?
Yes.
Excellent.
Or no, I have a better name, Doug Scullery.
Doug Scullery.
Instead of skullduggery.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Scullery. All right, so you get his office, and you get some administrative receptionist, and she asks how she can direct your call. Yeah, Commissioner Gordon. Oh, definitely.
Hi, yes, this is Thaddeus Pippin. I was wondering if I could talk to Commissioner, to the commissioner about a case.
Well, hold on just a moment. I'll see if he's in, and you can hear a hand go over the phone. And she said the commissioner would be delighted to speak to you, Mr. Pepin. I'll put you through.
Thank you.
Thaddeus, to what do I owe this pleasure?
Commissioner Scullery, how are things?
Oh, they're busy as always. I'm sure you're aware we've got our hands full. He says, I hear you had a little run-in the other day.
Yes, vile bandits, I would assume.
He says, I trust you're all right and in good health.
Barely, but I was a little shaken up and still on the mend from that.
He says, I was told that you were unhurt, so I'm pleased that is in fact the case. He says, I'm sorry you had to deal with that little business. It seemed rather unfortunate and bloody.
Yes. And it's a good thing I spent time working with the weapon I had.
Indeed. He said it's actually a fortunate thing that you called today. I was meaning to get in touch with you directly about maybe having you come down and make an official statement just for the paperwork and all that at some point.
Oh, yes, that would be a wonderful idea. I imagine that it's prudent to have my statement down for this, and any way I could help. I mean, after all, Mr. Elias was my dear friend.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, yes, me and him has been in touch for some years now, and we share common interests and stuff.
Really, I was told he was an author of dime store novels or some such.
Yes. Well, superstitious, it does make good for good reading.
I suppose so, if you're into that. I don't have time for such matters, but I'm sure those who do enjoy it quite a bit.
Yes. But that brings me to the reason for my call. I was wondering how the investigation was going. I mean, I can if you guys are hitting walls and anything like that, I could
He says,
always.
there are two deceased of the three, and one is wounded, but alive and in custody. He's refusing to talk at the moment, um, but he's about to be formally charged with the murder of Mr. Elias. So I think that,
Ah,
that might get him talking.
yes, yes. So he hasn't said anything, you say?
He refuses to talk.
Hmm. Does he? Is he using a lawyer?
No, he's not.
Strange.
Well, from what I'm told, he's an African national or some such. He doesn't speak English. I'm not even sure he is aware that he could have a a lawyer, and that's not something we're about to mention, as you might imagine.
Oh yes. Well, I mean, because he could be quite useful. I think this might be a bigger problem than what it seems with System 3.
Oh, really? I
Yes, yes.
I I was oh, I was under the impression that this was some revenge murder or something. I assumed maybe he'd written something about them or owed them money or some such. The motive is still very unclear, but it's obvious. Um, he says, I have a copy of the photograph taken of the body. It's obvious it was quite passionately motivated, I suppose you'd say.
Well, fortunately and unfortunately, I did not get a good look at the body, I guess, which is fortunate,
Well,
because...
I can certainly, if if for some reason you or perhaps your representative would like to see a copy of the photograph, I'd be happy to give you access to that.
That may be useful, because as I said before, he was a good friend. So I've been pouring some outside resources into some of the stuff of what I've been suspecting, and
Well,
it's been coming.
I
Not to say that
I
the
appreciate the
department.
effort. I'm sure that's not necessary, Mr. Pepin. We're doing everything we can to get to the bottom of what happened.
Oh no, I know it's not to say that the department's not doing a bang up job, but there's international matters. I'm afraid it seems that some stuff may be leading to. So
I see.
of course, I could expedite reach. If I do that, and of course I'll be glad to share information. That you think may help the case against the young
Well,
man.
I'd hope that maybe in making your statement, I hadn't wanted to trouble you before now. I know you're a very busy man, and I didn't want to seem insensitive and having you come make a statement. Or I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm sure you would like to keep your name out of the papers with regard to this whole mess, and I'd be happy to do that. Maybe I should send out a detective to your estate to take a statement from you. You wouldn't even have to come in. I think that might be better. Would you find that amenable?
I think I don't think the press would be too pressing on me showing up to the police department. I mean,
I
after all, I don't mind paying a visit to such fine institutions of law and supporting them. So I don't think the press would be.
Well, that's your decision to make. It's an offer that stands if you would prefer a more private interview. Um,
Well, I was wondering if we can do the interview at the same place as the young African man that you have locked up before you formally charge him.
I can certainly look into that.
Because one of the things that I'd like to do, I don't know if your department has, is an interpreter.
We certainly employ a fair range of interpreters, though, as you might imagine, we don't really specialize in African dialects.
Yes,
One of the
yes.
less common needs, but I'm sure um, the, uh, the local office would employ one as needed.
Well, I wouldn't mind bringing one of my own if you don't mind, if because I'm sure he has a wealth of knowledge, which can most definitely, help put some light on what I've been seeing and hearing about, and that of course would go leaps and barrels to the police department and making a name for itself. For if this is a bigger thing than what we thought, this would put the department in some great light.
If you believe that would be beneficial, then I don't see any reason why you couldn't bring your own interpreter if you wanted to speak with the man in person. I assume you wouldn't mind having an officer present at that.
Oh, not at all. That would be just fine. In fact, I think that would be for the better because
I
that way,
agree. I agree.
because you never know what he might put out there that an officer, the detective might find beneficial.
Yes, yes. Well, I'll look into that, and I will get back to you when an arrangement of that nature can be made. Rest assured, it will be in the next day or two at most.
Ah, that would be delightful. I do of course look forward to if I get to see you. It'd be good to see you like always.
Oh, I'm sure I'll run into you soon enough. Tis the season for giving, or well, I guess that's coming to an end finally. All of these holiday bashes people have been throwing. Hopefully they're running their course. But I'm sure I'll
Ah,
see you again soon.
oh, that I hope so. Well, Commissioner Scully, you have a wonderful day then.
And you too, Mr. Pepin. I'm very pleased again to hear that you're in good spirits and physically sound.
I do appreciate the thought. You let me know if the department needs anything or if you need anything. I definitely like helping out those in blue.
I appreciate that, sir. You know I do. And I wish you a good day.
You as well.
And
Have the phone.
yeah, he hangs up.
Turn around. Well, it seems like we will be able to talk to the prisoner.
Perfect.
Well, I shall arrange for an interpreter as well. I will have to do that before, the end of the day, I'm sure, to get one in time.
Hmm. I'm thinking we will definitely have to leave the country, maybe to further investigate this. I don't think the answers are all here.
Yes, yes. Well, as soon as we get some more answers, I'm sure we'll have a destination that we would like to go to, and if that's the case, I think we shall charter a wonderful ship to take
Yes.
us.
Do be aware travel times are very slow in the 20s. So
Oh,
you
good.
want to make sure that when you leave a place that you're not just popping around. um, it takes a while to get from one to the other. Um, all right, I am going to
Yep.
call a quick bio break here, everyone.
Okay.
All right.
Intermezzo.
Do 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 do.
Let's see, what should I do? Oh, I know one.
I'm going to get her.
Way to bring that up. So much to do.
Well, we were supposed to have a meeting with him so we could figure out who Silas is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
So, um, so what's the plan now? It is still only late morning. I'd say probably like 11 a.m.
Hmm. Well, I think we should take a look in Chinatown, maybe.
Chinatown, you say?
Yes. I think that's maybe where these men may be hiding.
The possibility.
Well, they might have taken something. I am not sure if we can even get some of the other evidence from the crime scene. Or we can maybe just get a heads up on where these people are. I do not want to encounter them again. That did not go very well last time. But even maybe if we can lead the police or something in the correct direction.
Well, I could also check in with the office and see if they ever got a hold of Mr. Emerson about our meeting, and also how the hiring of the private detectives went.
Yes, that's pretty reasonable. You could call about that this morning. And just to make a long story short, a private investigator has been contracted to try to locate Mr. N'Kwane, and a meeting has been set up tentatively for this evening with Mr. Emerson and his and whoever it is that he has set it up with. The meeting is to take place at 7 o'clock, down not too far actually from Emerson Imports, at at the 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 Salty Seaman's Bar.
See, it's 7 o'clock, salty seaman.
Because who doesn't like salty seaman?
Wow.
True.
Thought they've been properly discharged, it'd be okay.
Where's this game going?
All right, this is a family show, guys. Come on now.
So Natalia's been kind of poring over the notes a lot. Again, kind of looking towards Elias's kind of insane writings, many ramblings, going over it and again. It looks like he did not trust the police. We shouldn't involve them too heavily. Or let them know exactly what's going on. If possible, if we can interview this. I don't know if they're going to be suspicious if we interview this man. We should keep eyes out.
I imagine, and maybe possibly if they are that high, the one they'll have in the room is the one we don't want to involve with us too much. Alas, there's only so much we can do with that aspect. But perhaps when we do the interview, we'll bring our own private detective with us.
Maybe. Something about the library, too.
No, we're in Chinatown. What are you thinking?
I'm unsure. Does not specifically say something about just immigrants, Chinatown, Harlem. Nothing specific.
I wonder how we would find out more.
I don't know. Only thing I can think of is questioning that man. It
Yes,
carries its own risks.
I feel that is one of the keys we would need. However, maybe this meeting tonight will shed more light on it as well.
No. Maybe we should wait for this evening and continue to look over these notes. If we can find anything else. But so far it looks like we need to travel.
Yes.
Okay. So what do we want to do?
That is?
I think from what it sounds like is that we're I'm gonna try to kill time while looking over to these notes until the meeting. I mean, is that what
Oh,
we're?
okay.
I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say.
I mean, at least till we, yeah, uncover more. I mean, we could drive around Chinatown.
Or we could go to the library and maybe research other, like I was talking about last time, which I thought that, oh, which I thought that Benjamin was going to do was look up other expeditions that happened with very affluent men who kind of went off the cuff. I feel like maybe we could go to the library and look that up.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys want to head down to the public library? It's still open for quite a long time.
Is it the library that Natalia works at?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
That will help. You know it better.
Let's go there. So, yeah.
All right.
Natalia will give, well, I'm guessing Frank will know where it is.
Yes, he will.
Perfect.
He will know that. All right, let's just go there.
Awesome. So,
There you are.
yeah, so I guess Natalia will start looking at maybe anything expedition related, especially to Kenya. I don't know about China, but basically anything, like any books with any expeditions, especially like if there's anything with failed expeditions or something like writings about an expedition,
Okay.
instead of someone in like first person writing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Okay. What are the other two of you going to do? You can either assist her or you can look for other things if you want.
I think Thaddeus would assist her.
Okay. What about Benjamin?
I don't know if it's possible to try and continue to look maybe for this symbol or more symbols like this.
Sure. You
Then
can
two.
try.
Oh.
All right. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, then Thaddeus, why don't you try doing a library use roll, and as long as you get a success of any kind, you will add a bonus die to Natalia's.
You got this, Thaddeus. No, you don't.
You're not really helping her that much. All right, so Natalia, make a library use roll. You will get a bonus die since this is your library. And you know it well. Ooh, a hard. Extreme.
Extreme.
Okay. And how long are you planning to stay at this?
So when is that other meet? You said 7
It's
p.m.
at 7
was the
o'clock,
other.
yes. And the library is open, I think the hours would probably be till something like 9 o'clock at night. So really you could, on a weeknight, so you could stay as late as you wanted.
And sorry, who is the meeting with again?
It's with Emerson
Okay.
and his associate, whoever that happens to be. That was not specified.
So Natalia will kind of look to Thaddeus as he's attempting to help her out. She's like, no, like pushing down his hands, like, no, not that.
Well, I mean, it's not like
Thaddeus.
he's useless. He's not counterproductive. He's not adding much to your efforts. I mean, he's helping you
Holding
things and and you're saying, here, look through this and see if you can find, blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. But and give me first of all, I want to know the amount of what time you're gonna work until, because that gives me an idea of how much stuff you would find. And second of all, I need ranges of dates of things you're looking for?
Ooh.
The broader the range
The...
of dates, the more general the information will be. If
Let's
it's
see, I
if you
just
narrow
gotta...
it down, you're more likely to find more detailed information.
I just want to see where the heck is it. And
Take your
it's...
time.
Oh, I can't look that far back. Ugh. At least we're gonna start... This goes back at least until 1543. At least. I can't go that far back. That's a lot. That's a lot of effort.
1543, an expedition in 1543 from New York.
Yeah, no.
There were not many, I can tell you. Yeah.
Ooh, smart. Probably look back to 20, so maybe the 1850s. She's gonna basically tell Thaddeus and Benjamin, if the two of you would like to meet with Mr. Emerson, I will stay here and figure out what they can. Okay? Until close, if I can. Maybe I can stay later. Depending.
Yes, we can do that.
All right. Let's see. All right, hold on a second. Okay, you find this article as you're looking through. You're basically looking for anything that says Africa or, expedition, that kind of thing. It seems like those are the keywords you're looking for, if I'm not incorrect, right? This certainly fits the bill. This newspaper article from 1919.
Of course.
And you find that actually be pretty late. It'd be like 4 in the afternoon, because you've been looking back starting in 1850, and as you're kind of, I would assume, sort of doing a quick search through, and then a more detailed if you find anything that suggests anything. You've found a couple of things from the late 1800s. Of expeditions, but really it's not a common thing. Expeditions to Africa from New York are you only found one in the late 1890s, and you read about it, and it seemed very inconsequential. It was sort of an amateur expedition. It returned with no significant find. It was just some rich guy's pet project. But you found nothing odd or suspicious about it. It just seemed like some guy kind of wanted to go and see Africa and, bring back stuff that he could hang on his wall. And there's a couple of photos that he shot a tiger and had it stuffed, and brought back a couple of shields from tribesmen and that sort of thing. But nothing looked weird about it. So this is the first thing you came across as you're scanning through.
She kind of takes it, of course, and looks it over. King Solomon. She kind of thinks about that. Maybe she should start looking up, kind of go from there. look up anything about King Solomon, where his tombs are, that kind of thing. History.
Okay. All right, so you want to kind of pivot your search to King Solomon. Okay. Benjamin, let's see how you're doing. You're looking for things about these symbols that right? Am I correct about that?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, make a library use roll. Ooh, very nice. You do not find any. You find some things. None of them look exactly like the symbol that you have seen. But you do find an interesting mention that there is a sort of expert in New York that is let's see. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. Yeah, he seems to be an expert on African matters and especially sort of the sensational about Africa. In fact, you find you're kind of looking through one of his books, and he has kind of carefully transcribed symbols that are used in African witch doctor rituals and things like that. And so it would occur to you maybe this guy, it was a fairly recent book, and he is a New York author, so it may be someone you could speak to.
And what was the name of the author?
The doctor's name is Dr. Lemming. Why am I not seeing a first name? Ridiculous. Sorry, hold on a second. Mordecai Lemming.
Cool. Okay. And that's all he found. Is just he came up with found that book.
Yeah, you're looking for matching symbols for anything that you have seen, and that's the closest you come. Right. You didn't really see any, but he seems to be something of an expert. Like his book is chock full of well, not chock full of photographs, but it has a few photographic plates and lots of little hand-drawn things. He seemed kind of fascinated with symbology and in the rituals that they perform. And,
Perfect.
And researching their historical ties to other cultures and their origins and theoretical meaning behind the meaning, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that would be, around 4 o'clock. The two of you have sort of come up with the stuff that you just came up with.
Benjamin will put any of the books away that he had been sifting through and poking through, save the one by Mordecai Lemming.
Mm-hmm.
He brings it up to the front counter, seeing Natalia and Thaddeus out of the corner of his eye. He turns and heads in their direction.
Mm-hmm.
And Natalia will kind of look up from, her realizations going to King Solomon and trying to find that and look over.
Yeah, you've just
Benjamin.
started that whole
Yeah,
thing. You've got a long way to go on that, you would guess.
yeah. She'll look over at Benjamin. Oh, did you find anything?
So, well, it may not be all that much. I found someone who seems to be somewhat of an expert that lives here in New York, and he specializes in some type of African symbols, in witch doctor symbols. So he may be able to determine what type of symbols that we have been seeing and what we have come across. It may be worth checking out. I just saw it.
Mm. Do you know where he is?
In New York, as I have said.
I mean, exactly.
No, that's
I'm
not
just
clear.
Mm.
No, I think that we will probably have to maybe use Thaddeus's very deep pockets, and maybe we'll be able to track him down much easier.
That makes sense. I found some newspaper article clippings on the Carlyle expedition. It's regarding Robert Carlyle, and apparently they were looking into the mines of King Solomon, so I'm looking that up, seeing if I can find more information.
Oh yes. Would you perhaps care for some help with
Some what?
some help?
Oh, some help, yes. If the two of you, I know it is getting close to 7 o'clock, I can continue, but I would really appreciate getting the books, yes.
Natalia, why don't you make a constitution check for me, please?
Oh no, did I drink too much?
No? Yeah, you are getting very hungry. You're not sure you're going to be able to continue on through the evening with no food. You may have
Her stomach might
to take a
growl.
break.
She looks down.
You're too
Oh.
sober. Yes.
Well, maybe we should grab some food before we continue, yes?
Sounds like a wonderful idea.
All right. You guys can go out and get something to eat somewhere nearby. Benjamin, are you checking that book out? It sounded like. I don't remember if he said.
Yeah, he will check that out.
Okay. You have it. All right. Yeah, you go eat. And then when you're done, Natalia, I assume you're going to resume your researches. The two of you guys, you could maybe do an hour of work if you wanted to, or you could just start heading over there. That's up to you.
I think Benjamin will continue to search, and she mentioned King Solomon
Yep.
in the
Okay.
tomb of King Solomon, so he's gonna go ahead
All right.
and see if he can find anything.
Why don't you, Natalia, give me a library use roll again with a bonus die.
Okie dokie.
Nice. Okay, you find a lot with Benjamin's help. He gets you, the two of you in an hour find a bunch of things. I mean, first of all, there's the book King Solomon's Mines, which were written in 1885, and that's what started this kind of theoretical craze about finding King Solomon's mines. And then Benjamin's ready to head off with Thaddeus, and you kind of pick up and start going through some of the things that you've gathered.
Okay.
So why don't we go to the meeting, and then we'll come back and see what Natalia has discovered.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to take you. You guys find the Salty Seaman Bar. Less Natalia there. Let's see.
Delete.
right, you walk into this bar, and it's starting to look like it's a little, it's picking up. It's clearly it's just serving non-alcoholic beverages.
Well, you know the person that we're looking for.
You recognize Mr. Emerson sitting over at a table that could accommodate 4.
That Thaddeus, of course, asked Frank to accompany them.
Yes,
Just in case.
Frank will. And he is sitting with a gentleman across the table from him, and they seem to be having a drink and talking. And so the 3 of you walk over, and as you approach, and come around the table, you can now see the man from the other side. And Emerson stands up when he sees you, and he says, "Oh, Captain Luding, these are the gentlemen I was telling you about, Mr. Pepin. I'm so glad you could make it."
Yes, I'm glad that one of my workers was able to get a hold of you to set up the meeting.
He says, "Well, it's my pleasure to make this possible." And he
Yes, and you do remember my dear friend, Mr. Benjamin.
he smiles at Benjamin, and sort of takes his glasses off and wipes them as he kind of nods at Benjamin and says, yes, of course I remember. And he says, well, gentlemen, please have a seat. And he kind of he lets you you two take where he was sitting, across from the captain.
Captain
And
Luding.
he said, "Yes, gentlemen, this is Captain Luding, and Captain, this is Thaddeus Pepin and Mr. I'm sorry, I forgot your name already."
This is actually Mr. Wagner.
Yes, Mr. Wagner. I do hope you two enjoy your discussion. And Captain, do come to me if you need anything further regarding this arrangement, or whatever comes of it. He said, I'll be back at the warehouse. And he excuses himself.
Mr. Emerson.
Yes.
Before you go, now that you know close to who I am, I was hoping that we'd be able to talk to you about the Mr. Silas at some point today.
Certainly. Why don't you stop by the warehouse after?
Excellent.
And he just nods and steps out, leaving you sitting across from the captain. Frank goes and just sits at a table by himself, very close by.
So, Captain, I hear you may be one to be able to help us.
He says, I certainly hope so. Mr. Emerson spoke very highly of you, and the prospects of doing business with you. So I am quite interested.
Yes. Hopefully we will have fruitful relations.
I'm hopeful.
Now, I was wondering, because one of the questions I asked Mr. Emerson was, as he pulled out totals in his pockets for a little bit, this photograph, could you identify these ships for us? What type they are?
He kind of smiles. He says, He says, a curious way to start a business meeting, but I'll indulge you. He looks at the photograph, and he says, well, what do you want to know? He said, these two vessels with the strange fan-shaped sails are clearly Chinese junks. I've seen them before. And this ship in the back there, well, my guess is that looks probably like a private pleasure vessel.
And I take it, if you look closely, you see those letters?
DAR, yes.
Does any of that ring a bell to you at all?
DAR?
Perhaps,
No.
like-
Should I recognize the ship? It doesn't look familiar.
No, I'm just wondering, because I don't know how many pleasure crafts would
He says it
be floating around.
It does look to be of English design, I would say.
Most excellent.
All the finest
No.
ships are, you know.
So now the location, those buildings, have you seen those before? You know, like a landmark.
An interesting question. This could be Shanghai. That would be my guess. I think I remember seeing those. I have been there in my many travels. He says, do you have business in the Orient?
Oh, I will soon enough.
Excellent. Well, my company, I hope Mr. Emerson mentioned that I represent Glassglow worldwide, and we are growing our influence after the Great War. We now operate ships in every major ocean, and even many of the seas, smaller ones, India, and so on. He says, so pretty much any shipping need you might have, I'm sure we can accommodate you.
That is very good to hear. I'm always looking.
Excellent,
And,
excellent.
That's one of the purposes of this meeting, of course.
Uh-huh.
We get down to the brass
I
tacks. of
hope
it.
that is the purpose of the meeting. Mr. Emerson, who I do business with, one of my many clients, assured me that you had some business proposition to make.
Oh, I do. Now, you said you have ships everywhere. Africa, perhaps? Maybe
Well-
Kenya, Egypt?
Kenya. Well, we can do business in Kenya, yes. Mr. Emerson has, in fact, used my very ship to transport from East Africa to here. Yeah, I would say East Africa in general.
Now, do you know of anything of his clients or anything?
Of his clients?
Yes. I'm also trying to ascertain if, what kind of specialties Mr. Emerson does deal with, and by knowing some of his clients, maybe I might know some of them.
Why don't you attempt a charm check for me?
I'm a charming guy.
Wow. He says, well, you understand I normally wouldn't speak about my clients' business arrangements, but since we're about to go into business together ourselves, what do you want to know about his clients?
Mostly what he specializes in imports from the East African area. Oh,
Mr. Emerson himself, what does he import from there? Well, I honestly couldn't tell you exactly the nature of the imports. They are crated before I pick them up. But the manifest does indicate that he imports African memorabilia, trinkets, tribal gear, souvenir type things to be sold to, I assume, tourists in New York.
So you wouldn't know much about where those objects end up then?
Where they
Assuming,
ultimately
or-
end up?
Yes.
Well, I don't recall offhand. I'm sure I have in my manifests who the ultimate purchaser of the goods are. But is there a reason you can't ask Mr. Emerson for that information directly?
Oh, I will. I'm just, ascertaining. That's part of my process I use to, when it comes down to business partners and stuff. I'd like to know more about who I'm dealing with, in a way.
Oh, did you get a drink, by the way?
Not yet.
He says, yes, it is, he says, as much as I love your fine country here, I must admit that I'm a little disappointed in your outlook on alcohol, as it were. He pulls a shoot, what do you call it? A flask. He pulls a flask from under his coat, and says, of course, we have no such restrictions in England. He says, if I might interest you, and he passes the flask across the table kind of surreptitiously.
Yes. And he'll give it a good sniff to ascertain what it is.
It appears to be gin.
Gin, huh? And he'll take a small shot and then pass it over to Benjamin.
He takes it back and takes a shot himself, and then screws the cap back on with a smile and puts it back in his coat, and then sort of smooths out each of his mustaches.
Not bad at all.
I should say not.
I'm a Scotchman myself.
I see. I have nothing against Scotch, but I find gin to be a bit more of a gentleman's drink.
That's so. Now, back to what I was wondering. On your manifest, have you ever maybe remember coming across the name of Silas?
Silas.
I believe it's spelled
Silas.
S-I-L-I-A-S?
Silas. Silas, that sounds familiar. Can you help me out here?
Yes, well.
As a client of Mr. Emerson's. Yes, certainly.
Yes.
Certainly that name does ring a bell now.
So I suppose that you never would have met
Oh,
him, but
surely
you
not.
do.
No, I've never met the man myself.
So does he import a lot?
A lot? No, I shouldn't think so. Although
So-
I can only speak for myself. I have been doing the Atlantic run for the last 4 years. He says, and I would expect that if he has solely has gone through Mr. Emerson to retrieve his fine African artifacts, and he sort of does his eyebrows as he says fine. He says that then Mr. Emerson would surely have used me exclusively for that run, and I make the run every couple of months, and of course there are other areas I go to in the Mediterranean as well on my way, and I would say it accounts for a very, very small percentage of my shipments.
Well, that's quite interesting. So you said you're from England.
I am.
Ah. What?
I'm afraid I might
coincidence.
have lost a bit of my accent, knowing how much the world I've seen and different people I have had the pleasure of having discussions with. I'll have to work
Yes,
on
the
that.
The world does rub off on you. That is for sure.
One must
So-
never lose one's national identity, in my opinion.
Well, to be worldly is a risk. But perhaps you might know somebody that you know or know of. And he'll right through his pocket and pull out a business card of the Penhew Foundation.
Penhew Foundation. I'm afraid the foundation means nothing to me, sir.
You
Is
never
this
heard of it?
again? Not to put too fine a point on it, but I assume we are working our way around to this alleged business arrangement you had in mind.
Ah, yes. That will be, you know, we will get to that in due course, and I suppose that Mr. Emerson has enlightened you on who I am.
He has. Not that he need enlighten me. I'd heard your name spoken of before, in quite glowing
Ah.
terms. In fact,
Yes. And as you know, I have a lot of business, and I do need, you know, a shipping service as well. And that would be the business prospect of this, is to utilize you and your ships and companies as a provider of such services.
he said, "You'll find no finer shipping line, I assure you, or reliable."
Well, I shall hope so. And he'll sit back real quick and kind of look over at Benjamin, feeling him poke. Ah, Benjamin.
Yes.
Perhaps you I have some questions for the captain before we part ways with him.
Part ways, sir. Do we not have business to discuss? He looks
Yes,
rather flustered now.
Yeah, look at him. Don't worry. We will get to that before I part way.
I should
No.
hope so.
Benjamin looks across the table at the captain and then looks back to Thaddeus, and he just goes, I was simply trying to stay as quiet as possible since my last interaction did not go so.
Ah, yes. Well, that was with Mr. Emerson. I sure hope that Captain Ludding is not the same.
He just smiles, and he says, "I have nothing personal against the German people. Now, I did serve on a destroyer in the war, but I've nothing against your people in general." He smiles.
Ah, that's good. One must separate war from times of peace.
Indeed. He directs his attention back to Thaddeus, however, and he says, "Now, if we might discuss your proposal."
Then you look at Benjamin, kind of see if he was gonna say anything or had anything to
And-
add.
And Benjamin just sees Thaddeus looking at him and says, think it is better if you just handle the matters at hand. I think you covered the bases pretty well, and this man has been actually a fairly good. He's done a fairly good job of providing us information. I think that his time is obviously worth something. So I think that perhaps
You can
the time is
see
now.
him draw in a very controlled breath when you say that, and he takes out his flask and takes another swig, and then extends it to Thaddeus.
Thaddeus will go ahead and do another sip, and it does hit the spot, doesn't it, Captain?
It does. It does. I find it quite soothing.
And then Thaddeus will look over to Frank and kind of wave him over.
Frank comes over. He has not been obvious about it, but clearly he's been, subtly watching for any signal from you that you might need him. He's very good at that. He rises and comes over to the table. Mr. Pepin?
Frank, I was wondering if you had a pen and paper on you, or maybe can procure one. The establishment for me.
He makes a show of patting down his, patting himself down, and kind of says, "I'm afraid I didn't foresee such a need, sir, but I'll see what I can do." And
I do appreciate
he
it.
goes up to the bar, and you can see him engage the bartender.
Yes. And then as soon as you get back, I will give you a number and name to call, and she of course will set you on the correct path. I will be sure to tell them that we will be using you for quite a bit of our shipping and stuff as needed. And of course I would like...
He nods. He says, I understand. He said you wanted to get to take the measure of me. And I hope I represented my company well.
Yes.
And that you...
And perhaps you do have a card or something that I can use in case in personal matters I would need to be able to find you or a representative of the company at the very least here in New York.
He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a business card for himself.
I really should get more of these made. I've been giving them away like candy the last couple of weeks.
Really?
Yes.
He says, in my experience, one should be a careful judge of character and not be distributing one's business card to just any Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street.
Yes. No, I don't really pass them around like that. It's more for the, silence for a second. Well,
Yes, Frank returns with a piece of paper and a pencil. And Luling says, yes, a man of your stature has a reputation to maintain after all.
But of course. And I suppose, mister, you wouldn't mind if we bypass Mr. Emerson with our dealings?
If that pleases you, that's amenable. And he smiles.
Yes. I mean, because I got people that can handle the same type of business as well.
I would expect as much, sir. Yes.
Yes,
And
and our
he says,
writers...
I'm sure you will accommodate Mr. Emerson for arranging this meeting in whatever way you feel is deserved. And
yes.
you can see he's not too concerned about that from his body language.
Yes, most indubitably I will. And then he'll write down the office,
Yeah.
each Mabel,
Yeah,
everything.
all right. You sure don't want to Yep.
And I'm assured that if any matters does come between my company and your company, and me personally and you personally and your, will be dealt with strict confidentiality as well.
He says, of course, we are professionals. And he stands up from the table and extends a hand to shake it.
And Thaddeus will stand up as well and shake his hand. Excellent, excellent. And do be sure to tell her that, I told you to call, and rest assured I will be a hold of her.
I'll call her tomorrow afternoon. Give you
Excellent.
time to prepare her. And he says, well, gentlemen, I do have a ship to attend to. And he kind of doffs his non-present cap in a motion, and takes a small bow, and then, as he's doing it, and turns and exits.
Well, that was semi-enlightening.
Yes, it was somewhat so, but what exactly is our next course then?
Well, I do believe that on the way back to the library, or maybe we should go to the library first and to the imports. I mean,
Well, Emerson Imports is right up the street.
perfect. So that'd be
yeah. He picked a place that was very close, within walking distance.
excellent. Well, perhaps we should go to the Emerson Import building and talk to Mr. Emerson about this Silas person.
All right.
Now that he knows that we mean business.
Okay. So you want to head over to the import building then?
Yes.
All right. You can do that. I'll take you there.
Come fly with me.
Again, Natalia is not present at the moment. He is there. It's kind of late now. It's after 8 o'clock. So, and it appears he may be the only person there. He's doing some work at his desk, and otherwise it seems pretty quiet. But and in fact the door is locked, but you can kind of see him inside.
That is to walk up to the door and look at Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we knock this time, or do you think you can acquire a way to enter the building?
You're so very funny. I forgot how your humor is.
He'll smirk. And then he'll knock on the door.
Okay. He looks up and comes over, and when he sees who it is, he kind of nods and unlocks the door and lets you in, and he says, Mr. Pepin, excellent. Come in. It's cold outside. He says, I do hope you had a profitable meeting.
Yes.
Excellent.
Most definitely.
He says, I am very pleased to hear it. Well, please come sit. He kind of pulls a chair up across from him at his desk and sort of brushes some papers aside just to make sort of a clear spot between the two of you, and sits down across from you at his desk. And he says, you'll forgive the mess, of course. I'm quite busy.
Yes, indeed. A busy man is a prosperous man. So now about the business at hand.
Yes. I presume, speaking of the business at hand, that some beneficial arrangement was come to.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I'm pleased to have facilitated that.
Oh yes, and don't think that you won't be rewarded.
I would never have imagined.
But I'm also looking for longer term business solutions, if you know what I mean.
Of course, my humble warehouse is at your service.
Excellent. Now, about this Silas.
Yes, Mr. N'Kwane. You seem quite interested in him. Perhaps he
Yes.
has a piece you're interested in acquiring?
That is very much a possibility. In fact, I would like to meet with him.
Well,
If it is
that
all
could be very
possible.
easily arranged. You'll find him at his place of business, Juju House.
Excellent. And I look at Benjamin. Perhaps, Benjamin, you would like to go over the details with him? I'm getting quite parched. My throat is starting to hurt.
Oh,
And he kind of smiles.
says, well, I'm sorry. He says, if I can get you something to drink, Mr. Pepin.
No, I've just been talking a lot. My good
I'm
friend.
sure you have. You and the captain must be like old mates by now.
Yes, yes. But I trust my good friend Benjamin would know exactly what I'm inquiring about, and perhaps he would be able to ask you some questions, if that's all right with you. I mean, I know.
He forces a smile and blinks a few times behind his glasses, but he said, "Of course, it would give me great pleasure to speak to him."
Excellent. And he looks over and smiles at Benjamin.
Well, so now it is okay that you talk to me. So now the shoe is on the other foot.
He looks at you and he says, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. What is the matter at hand?" Hello? Did we lose you, Benjamin?
There?
Benny.
Ben!
Oh,
Oh.
Benjamin!
Am I here?
You're back.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, you're here.
Yeah. He said, what is the matter you wish to discuss?
Yeah, what did we wish to discuss? Bad form.
Gosh. Silas.
So, if you recall, the last time that we were here, we were inquiring about the Mr. Silas
N'Kwane,
N'Kwane.
yes, indeed. I've mentioned you can find him at Juju House.
Juju House. Yes, that is. Uh,
He kind
And
of,
where
he
did
kind
they
of
say that
raises his
Juju-
eyebrows above the glasses, expectantly.
where did he say that Juju House was, or did he
did
not? So, where exactly is this Juju House at?
You'll find it in Harlem.
In the nicer part of Harlem, or
Is there a nice part of Harlem?
I don't like to think that all of it is so bad.
No. I suppose not. Mr.
So you
Silas is a reputable man. Or at least he seems to have been in all of my dealings with him.
And exactly, what have your dealings with him been?
I'm sorry, does this pertain to anything relevant with the business arrangements Mr. Thaddeus arrived at? He imports. I think I believe I told you he imports various goods from East Africa to resell in his shop. There's nothing mysterious about it, or unusual.
Oh, see, that is all I was looking for, is perhaps there was something that maybe struck your eye or caught your attention.
He says, I don't really go through the individual pieces he orders. I simply deliver them to him intact in the crates they were shipped.
I did not mean to imply that you would go through the crates or anything like that. I just was curious if there was anything that perhaps maybe stood out.
I've seen the inside of his shop. He seems to have a variety of knickknacks, I guess you should say, ranging from knickknacks to finer pieces that might command a higher price from a more serious collector. But mostly the
Collect
former.
collectors say one like Mr. Sadius here.
I don't know what kind of collector Mr. Thaddeus is, but if I assume, judging by his character and pedigree, I would assume that he only is interested in finer pieces. I'm not sure he'll find what he's looking for with Mr. N'Kwane, but he may. Certainly worth looking into, I'm sure.
Yes, I certainly hope so.
He clears his throat a couple times.
Daddy's will clear his throat a little bit. Well, I think what Benjamin also was probably meaning to find out was when did they have a recent import in the past week or so?
In the past week? No. Let me see. You can see that he's starting to get a little irritated and impatient with this whole line of questioning here. But he kind of, you can see he's kind of humoring you, and he goes through some back manifests, and you can see he's not being entirely thorough, but he says, the most recent one that came through was, it was about 2 weeks ago.
Excellent. 2 weeks ago.
While you are looking at this, does it perhaps tell the size of the package or the concept?
Miss
Yeah.
Emerson says, I do hate to forestall you in this way, but can you tell me what it is exactly you're looking for? You seem very, very interested in the shipment. Is there something specific you're seeking, Mr. Pepin? I'm happy to help,
Well-
but this seems like a very roundabout way of doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Well, I heard, and this is just a rumor on the streets, because I do collect
Yes?
fine art, like you said yourself, but I also collect odd things as well, and I've heard that recently there might have been an odd shipment coming home.
Odd
that's-
shipment? No, I wouldn't call it odd.
No?
He generally sends. He has an arrangement with somebody in Kenya who provides shipments through Captain Looting's company. Well, not his company, but he is the captain of the ship that has been doing that route for the last several years, and each time he has gone and returned, he's returned with some shipment of various sizes and compositions. I wouldn't call any of it odd. He says, I think you really
Well-
would do well to speak with Mr. N'Kwane directly if you're looking for something specific. I seriously doubt I can help you with anything about the nature of specific pieces. I'm hardly a collector myself.
Well, that is understandable. I know you said the shop. Did you? And you in Harlem. Do you have an address of some sort?
I do.
number?
He says it is at. He says it's at 1 Ransom Court.
Thank you. Now, to the business at hand. I'm sure you. He looks around. You're not. You would welcome more business. Can you handle more business?
He says, I'd be happy to give you a tour of the warehouse if you doubt my ability to handle a job of any size.
No, I'm more ascertaining because I know sometimes people have busy times and don't have busy times. And
He says, well, certainly before the
sometimes.
holidays I am much busier, but that time has passed.
So what level of importing exporting could you do, perhaps?
Um, yeah, if you want to just talk business with him for a little bit, we can just sort of compress that, unless there's something
Yes.
specific you're getting at. Um,
Nope.
yeah, he does appear. He says he's got plenty of space, and if he needs to take on more hands to handle larger quantity of business, he's prepared to do that. So,
Thaddeus will also inquire if he does the liquid shipments of
the
any type.
liquid shipments. Um, why don't you make a charm check again for that one?
Ah!
Yeah, he says he basically says he has avoided that 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 very risky line of business.
Understand.
He says I have quite a healthy business without resorting to such measures.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I fully support this prohibition man.
He's
But
he looks at you rather skeptically but says nothing.
however, I do have your business card, and I will be talking to the head of my shipping, and and I will be putting your name down to use, and he will be in touch further with some of that.
Excellent.
And 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 of course, I will, if I have any personal matters arise, I will be in contact as well.
He rises and walks you to the door and says how pleased he is to hear it, and he looks forward
Excellent.
to your business in the future.
Excellent. Have a good day.
A good night to you. And he locks the door.
As he's walking to the car, yeah. But I don't think I would be giving him that much business. Rest assured. I just hope he struggled enough to talk to a crowd, as he put it.
Yes, well, I was trying to give him a little bit of the runabout and trying to throw him off a little.
Ah, well, it is quite interesting that the Silas had a import come in about 2 weeks ago. So perhaps we should go to the library and
All right. Frank will take you to the library. And we can check up on Natalia. Hold on one sec. Okay. So Natalia, that last roll was your check.
Extreme, yeah.
Yes. So you find out a lot about King Solomon's mines. There have been, ever since the book was published in 1885, there have been a small number of expeditions, none from New York, or featuring wealthy, amateurs. Some have been financed by amateur interests. But your research shows that no one has found any conclusive evidence of a location, although the theory is that it is the most common theory is it is in somewhere in southern Israel. There are theories that place it in other locations in East Africa. And as you're looking through, you're finding no specific evidence that as to what the expedition would be doing in Kenya looking for King Solomon's mines. That seems like an odd location for. You do not see any mention of King Solomon's mines being placed in Kenya.
What? I don't know if she can try to look up maybe rumors.
It's sort of a sensationalist thing. You keep coming across. It seems more fanciful than anything. This whole idea that it seems to have been generated initially by a work of fiction, and then it kind of took hold, and people started to theorize that maybe it really is real, and there have been a few attempts to locate it, none of which have been fruitful as far as you could see. Israel, yes. That was not a coincidence.
I don't know. Is there like an occult section in the library?
Sure.
Okay, she's gonna see if there's anything regarding maybe it's definitely gonna lead back to Jackson's books regarding cults or anything like that are in different parts of the world, or even anything specific relating to maybe expeditions gone wrong or something in Kenya, like anything kind of in that general area, or anything or any mysteries that have to relate to that like east, like the Kenya area.
Okay. Yep. So you could do another library use roll for me for that.
Okay.
All right, that is a success. You don't turn up a lot of real interesting information about Kenyan cults or expeditions, ending in disaster or anything like that. That would be more a newspaper thing than published books. There hasn't been, archaeology is sort of a more recent craze. It is not something that's been done for a very long time.
Archaeology or anthropology?
Well, archaeological digs, going to places and even interest in African, anthropology has only been a recent thing. Certainly the British have had some interest in it, and perhaps the Germans and Italians because of their colonies. But at least in America, there hasn't been a lot of interest in exploring Africa and, documenting tribes and certain, much less cults. So there's not a whole lot of information that you're finding. It's kind of sort of a dead end.
If she has time, she's gonna see if she can look more into the Carlyle expedition, maybe Robert Carlyle as a person.
Okay. Using newspaper articles? That would probably be your
Yeah,
best.
like,
Okay. Well, give me one last one before they return
okay.
home or return to get you. Yeah.
No! Can
I
I
think
push
you're.
it?
Can you push it? Um. Let's see. What would be the price of failure? Um. Other than breaking a nail.
I don't think Natalia is very concerned
You
about
strain
breaking
your
nails.
eyes and are blinded for 4 die 6 days.
My
Yeah.
eyes!
Let me see. I would say you can push it. The downside of pushing it would be that you just would be, you would have had your fill of research and really would be unable to do it again for a couple of days. It's like you're sick of pouring through stuff. So that's
fine.
sort of that would be your downside if you fail.
I accept this.
I accept the challenge. All right, let's see.
Ah!
All right.
Oh,
You
no!
got
Wait,
a
do I get the
success
+1?
with the +1. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
All right.
Okay.
So you push yourself a little bit. So I will. I'll show you a couple of things. You don't have a whole lot of time, but you look back and find a couple of interesting articles.
Oh. Wealthy playboy.
And then there is.
Penhue Foundation. Hmm. Okay, yeah, she's gonna grab all those items and kind of. I don't know if she's gotta like.
You would have to transcribe. You'd have to copy them down. You can't really take.
Yeah.
I mean,
Take these,
actually, you
unfortunately.
probably could because you're a librarian and no one would ask, but you're not supposed to.
How much time does she have before they come back?
Well, you don't know how long it's going to be till they come back, but the library is closing soon.
She's gonna attempt to write down what she can, and if she can't write it all down, she'll take what she
You're
can.
used to. I mean, this would take you probably 15 minutes to write it down.
Yeah.
So, I think you can do that.
She'll write it down word for word.
Okay.
Make sure she has it
All
all.
right. Then you
Dates
then
and everything.
You do have them.
Perfect.
And they arrive at the library as the library is closing to pick you up.
Yeah, Natalia will kind of, not run, but quickly walk over to the two of them with things in her, kind of papers in her arms. I found some more things on the Carlisle expedition we can look at. Nothing on the King Solomon tomb. I think that might have been a dead end, but might be something here. Mentions the Penhue Foundation.
Penhue Foundation?
Yes. Natalia seems a lot more kind of with this whole investigation and everything. It's very distracting for her, so she's very excited to kind of dive into this.
She seems animated.
A lot more excited than she has been in the past while.
All right. Are we returning home, sir?
Yes.
All right. He starts heading homeward, and you guys can chat in the car.
So what did you find out in your meeting?
Well, that we figured out where Silas is in Harlem, and we also figured out that that photograph is Shanghai.
I, the photograph, which one? The boats?
The boats.
I
Yes.
thought we already figured that out a while ago. Like, yesterday.
Yes. Well,
He
you know,
thinks that it was more of a speculation than anything. He says that the two boats or ships or whatever they are in the front part of the picture were Orient.
but the
Yes, that is also what we discussed yesterday, but that is fine.
the main question was what kind of ship that was, and it seems to be a personal pleasure craft that the captain speculated on.
Mm.
So,
Anything else?
well, I just stop and think. There wasn't much to figure out with the captain, but Silas was the one. He does a lot of, well, not a lot, but he does the imports from Africa, including Kenya, and Kenya was mentioned with that.
Yes, and Natalia is kind of nodding. Her lips are kind of pursed, almost in. She's attempting to hide slight annoyance. But I'm glad you found out where Silas was. That is good job. It's very
Yes.
good.
Well, now that you know who he is, we can talk to him, figure it out, and especially with this shipment that came about 2 weeks ago.
Ah, so you will have more things.
Uh, well, the main one of the things concerns me would be the timing of the shipment from Kenya and what
You
happened at our dear friends.
you think that maybe some people were smuggled over in these ships?
Well, not knowing, I don't know if somebody could survive being smuggled like that. I mean, it's quite coincidental.
Hmm. It could be. Where is he exactly? Where is his shop?
And he's gonna recollect trying to remember the name.
Harlem.
Yeah, I mean he's in Harlem.
And something juju.
Yeah, that's what's the Juju or new something like that.
That's what your notes are for.
Harlem. That is where Jackson's notes said that the people were from the immigrants, the one that he thinks are working for whatever it is that was after him, and maybe Carlyle. I think this might be tied together. I think we should be very careful approaching this Silas. He might have something to do with it. Might not
Yes.
just be pleasantries with his African relics. Very concerning. Bring your
Yes.
gun, maybe, but just don't go shooting right away. We want to talk.
Well, I'm not sure how much you would know of us being involved, other than the one who escaped, and I'm not sure he would know who any of us were. So I don't think we might be able to catch him off guard.
Well, I think the one that escaped might have at least seen our faces. At least mine. Hey, I think we again should be careful.
Yes. And also perhaps a private detective that's looking into stuff would also maybe be able to find stuff that we don't know about
Eh,
the background.
Yes. Benjamin, do you have any insights?
Uh, Not necessarily any insight, since I had a thought that maybe this Silas may be able to point us in the direction of this Mordecai Lemming. And I just think that it would be best to be more prepared for anything if we end up having to leave.
Well, the less we can talk about the expedition and what Jackson was looking into, the better. No need to involve people we don't trust.
No, but if we could get any kind of indication as to what these symbols perhaps meant.
We need to get a gauge off of what he's like first, just in case. I just worry. You understand?
Yes, absolutely. That is not that is also a feelings that I have, and I also have these anxieties. But we must press on.
Of course.
Okay, you arrive home. Is there any further discussion for the evening?
She'll show them the Big Apple Dateline and Carlisle Expedition embarks. It's not opening. I'm gonna reset in a moment. It's not opening for me for some reason. She'll show her kind of copies to them. This is what I found on the Carlisle Expedition.
There they are again.
I like how it says New York. An A. W.
Yeah, the New York Pillar repost is a bit more of a sensational paper. A lot of social gossip and stuff like that, but they're the ones that would follow somebody like a Carlyle. Most other people wouldn't. Most a newspaper it would
Paparazzis.
not really make news that a wealthy guy is going off on some expedition. That's not really great newsworthy for something like the New York Times. They probably don't care. But something like the repost would definitely find interesting because he's sort of a playboy celebrity, or was.
It is interesting to see the parallels between this group and us.
Yes. One can't help
Miss
but think
Hypatia Masters. Did she pass away? She one of the ones who died. I wonder.
that, yes, I don't recall who survived.
I know none of, it's rumored that none of them survived, but Elias thought one of them did.
Yes, and I don't remember which one, if it was mentioned.
Well, if it's not, I suspect it might be Miss Masters. He spoke about the librarian. Not sure, but this shows us that we at least should visit England at some point. For sure, to see this Penhew Foundation, definitely linked to the Carlisle expedition.
Well, the funny thing about you mentioned about the Penn Foundation.
You guys
Oh.
are coming in really low. I'm not sure what's all about.
sorry.
I mean, no, you sound fine, Maddie. The two
thank you.
guys have been very
That's
quiet,
perhaps-
and I've got you cranked up.
Be loud.
Be louder.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you before. It's just
Yeah.
very quiet to me.
Okay. I'll adjust up here. Hang on.
Anyway,
Better?
yeah, a little better. Yeah, sounds good.
But our English captain friend we met
Yes.
today, he was saying that he never heard of the Penhue Foundation, but
Well, we have the address.
that we do. So that kind of makes me wonder if how
Trustworthy.
yes, or perhaps how they want to be seen. Maybe they want to remain silent. You know,
Or
per
have
se.
this paper publish them. Sir Aubrey Penhue, temporary spokesman for the Carlyle expedition, indicated Thursday that the leaders are taking ship to East Africa. It is strange he says he does not know them when apparently there is someone with the last name Penhue.
And he is newsworthy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
He owns a
who
tabloid.
says he didn't know Penhue?
When I asked
The captain?
Captain Nuding, yes.
And okay, I just am trying to follow the. Why would he know Penhue?
Well, no, I asked him if I guess I gave him the business
Right.
card and asked him if he knew the Penhue Foundation.
Yeah, he had never heard of it, or so he said.
Yes. So then it may be perhaps because they're not as big as they once were when the expedition was going, or
It could be. Well, really only one way to know is if we go. But
yes.
there's many things either there or I would say Kenya. But meet this Silas first at least. I don't know exactly what Jackson wanted us to do. Find out exactly what it is, maybe. See if we can find a way to stop it, I don't know. These cults. They apparently do not want anyone talking about it. Getting the word out.
Yes.
Definitely something big, I think. If they have enough control. I know what Elias's writings say, they ramble on, but if what he says is true, their reach is deep. I am worried that this is... we're maybe going in over our heads on this.
Yes. Perhaps.
But we can't stop at this point. We're already in it. Unfortunately. But we need to find out what happened for Jackson's sake, at least. Can't have it go to waste.
Well, I think that Jackson believes that that we would be capable of handling this, or
I hope so.
as he would not have left us so many clues, or I feel like he entrusted Mr. Sadius here with all this information.
Yes, I'm curious as to why, but I take no offense.
There was none intended.
Oh no, not from you, Sadius.
But we were in touch as I was researching some of the shared subjects. So maybe that is why. Maybe not to say anything other than that, but with a shared interest in the occult. And the fact that maybe he found something and knew that we would have to come together, and who knows.
Hmm. Well, not much questioning it. Reasons why he moved at this point.
This,
I will go over these notes a bit more. Maybe this graph of symbols. I'm not sure. Maybe it's to be filled in, but maybe there is more. Just a collection. You found nothing on these symbols, Benjamin. You just found the person that might know more, yes?
That is correct. I found nothing that would indicate or give any further knowledge of any of these symbols or anything similar. Only the author.
Well, at least we have him. Let's see if we can find him.
Yes, and actually, he may even be able to help solve the sort of that puzzle.
Which one? The graph?
Yeah, the graph.
Ah, lost your accent. I will pour over this information. At least, Benjamin, if you care to join me, I will be up for a few hours more.
Well, I think only if Mr. Thaddeus has some of that very strong drink.
But he
perhaps
approved strongly of prohibition, don't you remember?
that I do.
Shameful.
Yes. Well, can't have everybody thinking that I'm a drunkard now, can
Of course.
Only we will know. You're good.
Yeah, we're all fine. All right. Well, you can certainly have as much scotch as you'd like. You. So, Natalia is going to look over things more. It seems like.
Maybe for the first hour, and then afterwards, drink too much and put it down.
And then go try to rub the fuzzy baby head on the painting over there for a little while.
Yes.
Yeah.
These fuzzy babies. Very intriguing, Thaddeus.
Why
It
is
looks
it two-dimensional?
exactly
I
like
want
you.
it to be real. Yeah.
Let me cuddle the baby.
The bed,
I like
the baby.
babies.
Yeah,
Give me the baby.
yeah. And you've got your daughter to see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. You've probably forgotten all about her. Yeah, she comes in,
Oh no.
Mama. Yeah.
Oh
Why
yes,
did
you
you not
exist.
come in and
Hello.
say in Russian? Why did you not come in and say good night to me?
It's sorry, sweetheart. I started drinking. I come say the good night now.
She comes to sit on your lap for a little bit.
Oh, a story. So I'll tell her a story in Russian.
Okay.
About babushkas and whatnot.
Babushkas and whatnot. Tell her all about
That
Baba
is why you never cut your vodka with water. Now you know.
She says, "Of course I don't.
Oh, good.
I learned
girl.
from the best."
That's how you do it.
And she clanks vodka shot glasses with you, and then toddles off to bed.
Takes after mother.
All right. Well, it seems like the evening sort of just gradually erodes, and and people wind up falling asleep either there in
In
the
chairs.
study or yeah, or
On the
yeah.
floor.
And then it is morning, and you have a trip to the Carlyle estate. And owing at the time, in real world time, since I'd like to leave a little more time for the Carlyle visit than we would have. So I think I'm gonna call the episode at this point. Unless there's
Alright.
any questions you had or clarifications, I'd be happy to try. I know there's a lot going on, and you're already finding a lot of things. So
Is there a safe behind the baby man?
I'm sure there is. Thaddeus probably has
Oh.
numerous safes around the estate.
Nothing is safe now.
I only keep minor documents in there, like my social security number and things of that nature.
Oh,
I can buy another one.
Thaddeus, I should say you do late in the evening get a phone call from Mabel, and she says that the private investigator has located Mr. N'Kwane, and she has 2 addresses for you. One is
please do.
his place of business. He apparently runs a sort of an African art house called Juju House in Harlem, which you already know about, and confirms the address as One Ransom Court. And he also rents a small apartment 4 blocks away.
Is there any
And
address for the
yeah.
apartment?
I don't have it right off the top of my head, but it's within 4 blocks of the thing, easy to find. He requests if there's any further instructions.
Not at this time, but we will keep them on retainer.
Okay. Very good, Mr. Penhue. I wish you a good night.
You too, Mabel. Feel so loved by Mabel. She forgot my name already.
All right, guys. I think we will call it there.
Okay.